What's happening, everybody? Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com, coming back to you with another video live from the Rake-In multifamily house. I'm here with Caleb Roth. Good to see you, brother. How are you? So Caleb is actually the founder creator of Scout IQ, also of eFlip, and runs a really successful Amazon book business. You've been selling books on Amazon for how long now?
5-6 years, seriously. It was kind of a joke before then. Actually, we're just more casual.
But I tell you right now, when it comes to selling books, someone like myself who's putting out a lot of videos, I've been selling books for over 5 years, helped my mother, Mama Profit, to start selling books. One of the number one questions that I always get, and I'm sure you do as well, is what's the right way to condition books? Because when you find a bunch of books, which we're actually going to be going through and sharing with you how to condition them and kind of our thoughts behind it. But when you get a whole bunch of books and you're listing them, you've got to price them, you've got to condition them, and then obviously there's a couple other things you have to do.
Label it, get it in a box if you're shipping FBA. There's a lot of little pieces along the way. And so we're going to help you just kind of clean up some of the misconceptions around conditioning. Make that really simple.
Because you don't want the Amazon police coming after you. Because I could hear the police. I don't know if that's the Amazon police or not.
They heard us.
But they might be coming. So no, I'll tell you, all jokes aside, you know, if you're going to condition books the incorrect way, and there is a right and a wrong way to do it, you could have Amazon coming after you. You could get negative feedback. You can get suspended, kicked off. There's definitely consequences to not following the rules on Amazon.
Yeah, there are. And really the key is Amazon cares about the customer. We like to joke about this, but there is some truth to it. Amazon doesn't care about us so much as sellers. They are extremely finicky about making sure the customer is always satisfied. So if you do a good job making sure that the customer, their expectations are met or even exceeded, if you can do that, Amazon kind of looks the other way on a lot of other things. So make sure you take care of the customer, and part of that is, I always mix this up, but it's under-promising and over-delivering.
Yes, exactly.
Not the other way around.
And an example of under-promising and over-delivering is maybe you have a book that, like right now, this thing could probably go maybe for new like new, right? But we're not gonna over-promise, right? So what we're gonna say is maybe it's very good, right?
Yep.
Because they get it and they're like, wow, very good, that's like new. Exactly. So they're happy.
Exactly.
But if you went the other way around, they could be disappointed. So, you know, Caleb and I were talking behind the scenes, and it's a simple fact that people spend way too much time conditioning their books. And secondly, they don't even read the Amazon terms of service. Amazon actually lays out, they spell out for you what an acceptable book is, a good, a very good, a like new, a new.
Yep, very clearly. So again, don't just watch us and say, oh, Steve knows a ton about books, Caleb knows a ton about books. I'll just, whatever they say goes. Protect yourself. Don't just trust anything because it's on the internet. You have no idea who we are, maybe. So don't trust us, don't take our word for it. Plus, these terms, these conditions may actually change over time. So always go right back to the source. I see a lot of people saying, well, somebody said don't do this. Yeah, well, what does Amazon say? So go read the terms, read them for yourself. It's like going back to the original source. Just Google it. Conditions, book conditions on Amazon. The Seller Central support article will show up, and they'll lay it out for you. And they actually give you a lot of examples. If the dust jacket's missing, you can only list it in this condition. They actually spell that out for books. So go read that. And then if you still have questions, come back and check out the rest of this video.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think I'm going to be a bad son for throwing my mother under the bus right now on a video?
Do you like Christmas?
I do like Christmas,
You're
but
a couple
you know
months
what?
out,
I tell you right now.
months out.
So I call my mom Mama Profit. She's on Instagram. You can go follow her. And I love my mom, and I'm so proud of her because she actually had no knowledge of computers, even how to click a mouse, keyboard. Like she didn't know anything about computers, and now she's been selling for over 5 or 6 years now. She's doing anywhere between 2 to 3, 4. She's even done over 5,000 a month.
That's fantastic.
Using eFlip, and now that she's using Scout IQ, her business is really scaling. But one of the things that I try to get through my mom's head, but you know how some folks are, we're that way too.
They're resistant to change.
We're resistant to change. We get stuck in our ways, and she spends so much time grading and conditioning books, and I'm trying to tell her, and I would love your honest feedback. Feel free to disagree with me, but I say to her, you spending 3 times as much time versus what I'm spending, I don't think it's really making that big of a difference, because she's going through, and again, I apologize, Mama Profit, but I think this is going to help some people. She goes through every page, she notes any scratch, page 56 has a tear, and yes, it's protecting her for sure. Going over the top, there's not going to be any negative. You know, she's definitely going to probably get less feedback, negative feedback in the long haul, but really, does it really make that big of a difference? I go quick. I just pretty much open a book and I flip through really quick and I look, and that's how I grade. Am I being crazy? Am I being a little too tough on my mom, or what are your thoughts?
There's pros and cons either way. So let's go on one end of the pendulum. I know bulk sellers that list everything in good condition. every single thing. It could have water damage. It could have dog feces, although I'm sure they're probably not actually listing those. But it could just be
Could you put that in the description?
Yeah, you could. It could be beat up, and they just do the same description, the same condition for everything.
Yeah.
They're literally just as fast as they can scan them in. They list it, they get a shipment out the door, and they go focus on finding more books, which is honestly where most of us should spend our time, is improving our sourcing, improving the quality of the books. So the condition in those cases, you know, they've run the numbers. They probably don't have as great of feedback as a smaller seller that can actually do those detailed notes. So that's on one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is someone that goes and actually looks through every single page and says, oh, there's a little scuff on the bottom. There's a few dog-eared pages, page 83, whatever. Like, that's great, and there's a certain buyer that will love that and will probably pay a little more for that book.
Her feedback's spectacular.
Probably 100%, 99%.
100%.
Yeah. So you could do that, but it depends. Me personally, I like to give just a quick feedback. Like, if it has markings, I'd like to say that. One of the things that kind of bugs me, I buy a lot of books on Amazon to resell as well as for myself. A lot of the bigger sellers like Goodwill and some of these bulk sellers, they'll just, like, the description's generic. May or may not contain markings. May or may not have shelf wear.
Yeah.
So they don't really say anything. It's just, it's a good book. It could have damage. It could not. Well, what am I getting?
That's just one end of the spectrum as well in terms of vagueness, because you don't have to be that vague.
No, but it works for the bigger sellers.
It does,
and so there's something to look at that and go, yeah, works for them. And maybe their feedback's 96, 95% instead of 99 or 100.
And isn't it true, Caleb, when you're going through the terms of service, when someone buys good or like new or very good, there's already kind of a built-in criteria of what that is. If you read the Amazon terms of service now, I could see why my mother or anyone else would go above and beyond, because most people probably don't read the Amazon terms of service if you're a consumer.
No, and some of it also is not just like we for whatever reason, we talk about this too. People speed, we like to break other rules, but somehow when we get into Amazon, we get all like, oh, I can't break Amazon's rules, I'll get shut down. Like, I don't know where that sense of like, we have to be rule followers comes from. But really put yourself in the customer's shoes. If you're gonna buy a book and it says very good, like, what are you expecting? Yeah. So again, read Amazon's terms of service, but what's the customer expecting? They're probably expecting a book that's very good, whatever that means. So if it has water damage, if the cover's all dinged up, would you think that's very good? Probably not.
Yeah.
So let's just go through the conditions real quick.
Yeah.
Again, you could probably take a screenshot and put Amazon's condition notes, but there's really 5.
I'll link it up down below.
There's 5 conditions. Acceptable, and we'll go from worst to best. So acceptable, good, very good, like new.
Yep.
Okay. There's also collectible, so you can have collectible and then all those other categories. Do not sell collectible. They don't show up in regular search results. And I've actually done some side-by-side testing where I'll list some books good and then some books collectible good because they're like signed. People don't look for collectible books. Amazon doesn't show them the same way.
What does collectible even mean?
It's supposed to be for like first editions, if it's signed by the author.
Because a lot of toys are only collectibles, so we're forced to list under it, and they still sell, but it's always like, I always kind of never really knew what it was.
Yeah, you need approval to sell collectible books as well. Older sellers are grandfathered in. If you have that option, don't do it. Even if it is signed, eBay is probably a better bet.
Yeah.
It just doesn't show up in the regular search option. So collectible, leave it off the table. So best to worst, new, like new, very good, good, acceptable. In my business, almost everything is in these 3 categories. So there is some fear that if you list new, Amazon could shut you down. I don't know if that's really that founded, but honestly, if you want to be conservative, stay away from those. And I would stay away from like new for the same reason.
So acceptable.
For me, I only listed 3 conditions. Yep.
Okay.
Very good, good, acceptable. Most of my books are going to be in the good to very good range. I don't really list a lot of acceptable books, and by acceptable, I mean lots of markings. Like,
yeah, let's give some examples.
Torn. We'll show some examples here. I don't like to list those unless they're expensive books and I can undercut other prices and then move it quickly. Because as a customer, again, a student doesn't care. They need the book for class. They're probably not going to read it anyway, let's be honest. So certain books I don't care about, but if you have just a regular business book, for example, I would not really list it if it's really beat up unless it's expensive.
Okay.
So let's go through condition notes.
Awesome.
So again, go to the source. Don't take our word for it. Make sure you understand the conditions. And I think as a general rule, people overthink conditions. So again, for me, when I'm looking at a book, I'm literally grabbing it off the pile. I list with Exceller list, so I'm going to scan it in, make a price decision, a condition decision. I might click a few like preset condition notes, like if it has markings. Again, I don't want to say it may or may not have it. I want to say it's clean or it's marked. I want to be very, very clear because some customers care. And with Exceller list, I can do that with one click. I don't have to type it out.
I love that.
It's very,
you just
very
go
fast.
in and you create all your condition notes, and then anytime you're listing it, You pick the condition good, and then you hit the condition note, and it automatically populates it.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
So here's how fast I condition. I grab a book off the pile. I'm not going to clean up the book either. I think there's a lot of people that want to say, hey, we can take a good book.
Yeah, should we polybag it?
And polybag it and wipe it and hug it and love on it and turn it into a very good book. I don't think that's worth your time. This book is $12 or whatever it is. I don't know what it is currently. It's a $12 book, and that's not really going to change if I really make this a very good book. I might get $12.50 or $13, but it's not really worth the headache and the effort to rub it down and to do all that.
All right.
See what we got.
Yeah, this book is 29,000 rank. Amazon's at 16 and used is 17, which is interesting. Merchants are starting at 10. So Amazon, sometimes they go in and out of stock.
Yep.
So maybe the FBA used offers haven't caught up yet.
Exactly. So this is again, my condition is going to be this. I'm not going to try and clean it up. I'm not doing a whole lot. If it's really that bad that it needs cleaning, I'm probably not listing it. So I will take the sticker. I'll pull that off. You can use Scotty peelers. Don't leave price tags. That's just poor form. This was it's got a $3.50 price tag, but I think we paid like $1.30 on average for everything.
Yep.
So take the price tags off. Outside of that, I'm not cleaning it up. I'm not touching it. I literally look at it. It looks in really good shape. There's a few dog-eared pages, and I'm literally just doing a quick flip through. One, I'm looking for money. You've never found money in books?
I haven't yet.
I found $11 once. I'm feeling great. But I'm flipping through it real quick, just make sure there's nothing in it, and I didn't see any markings. I don't care about going through every page. It's just a quick once through. No markings for me. It's in excellent shape. This is pretty much going to get a very good rating. Okay? If you want to be conservative, when in doubt, if you're kind of between ratings, I'd always go down. Again, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Under-promise, over-deliver.
So if this is halfway between good and very good, I'll just say good, move on to the next book. So literally the condition process, this is a library book, meaning at best it's going to be good. You can't go any higher than that according to Amazon's rules.
We got a video coming out all about library books.
So my choices are good or acceptable. I see a couple wavy pages, kind of some water damage.
Yep.
It's not like wet, it's just it was exposed to humidity.
It's not a pretty book.
So this is going to be acceptable.
I think
Former library book acceptable.
I think I might have gotten some tikka masala sauce or something on that. So
Indian food.
So you said that was what? Good?
I'd go acceptable.
Acceptable on that? Okay.
Just because there's a little extra stuff. Again, I want to under-promise.
For sure. Okay.
A book like this, it's in great shape. It's a little bit out of true. It's definitely been read. Again, a quick go through.
I saw some highlighting.
I see lots of highlighting. So again, read Amazon terms, but in general, if there's just a few pages with highlighting, this maybe has 20, I'm probably gonna still go good. Amazon might say if it has markings, you have to go down to acceptable. Check that out for yourself. But again, for me, it's more what the customer is expecting.
Yeah.
So I'll say it has some light notes and highlighting, doesn't affect the reading of the book. I'm probably going to go good.
In your condition notes, do you ever put anything like fast shipping, 2-day prime?
I usually say worldwide shipping is available because we ship using, I'm going to blank on what it's called. The Amazon is like a worldwide program. We sell everything in the US, but anybody outside the US can actually see it and pay for shipping.
Do you have to opt into that?
You do, and it's like 2 clicks and your business goes worldwide and your sales go up.
You know what's funny? I'm not even sure if I'm opted into that.
Your sales will jump 5 to 10%.
Because I just had someone email me today saying, hey, I want to ship to Bolivia or somewhere.
Global export.
All right, we'll have to do that after this video. But
all right, we're going to increase Steve's revenue.
The 15 commitments of conscious leadership. So I'm going to pull out Scout IQ right now, and I'm going to give it a little scan. Let's see if it makes it. Ooh, I love that noise. So that's actually the cool thing.
That's actually worth some money.
The cool thing about his software is it actually makes various noises based on if it's a good buy or a bad buy based on triggers that we set up. We'll talk all about that another time. But yeah, this looks like, well, if we paid $2, about $3 profit.
Heck yeah. So again, I'm going to pull the price tag off. I'm not going to condition it. It's in pretty good shape. It looks like it's not been read too much. Again, I'm just flipping through it once. I do see a couple markings. So for me, it's going to be light markings, good shape, next book. Don't spend a ton of time. You should be able to do this quickly. Here's one, the cover's beat up. You're not going to be able to scan it because it's got a bookstore sticker.
So what I usually do is I take the Amazon seller app and then I'll just scan the cover, or you go into Scout IQ and you can just type in the name of it, but to save time.
Or OCR, which should be out by the time you watch this video.
89.78 on this book, 261,000 ranks.
So it's a $90 book. And again, for me, it's just going to be quickly flipping through it. The pages are in pretty good shape. Obviously a student didn't read it too much. The corners are dinged up a little bit, if you could, kind of look at that. So for me, it's not going to be very good because it's definitely been read. Is it bad enough to qualify as acceptable? Probably not.
I got a question for you in terms of conditioning.
Yeah.
With textbooks, say there's a CD missing or there is an access code missing. How important is that to mention it, and is that going to drop the condition?
I like to mention it. I don't really drop the condition necessarily. Amazon actually says on all used books, supplements, access codes, whatever, they're not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So now if it says it in the title of the book, the student's going to be expecting it, especially with access codes. And so a lot of times, like, I don't know if this one has one or not, a lot of times it'll say contain CD or there'll be an empty CD sleeve. I will mention if it looks like it should be there but it's missing, because the student's expecting it. Again, it's managing the customer's expectations. So I'll try and say it. They can still return it if they want, but again, it's not guaranteed.
How important is that nowadays in college, from your understanding? I don't know if you've networked with anyone.
It depends on the book.
The students expecting them?
A lot of times they do. And textbooks will get returned more than regular books.
Yeah.
Partly because students change classes, partly because access codes, everything else. But that's it's a $90 bill. Here's a good example of a book. So again, Amazon's terms of service, they're going to say certain things. Holy cow, it's like 7 or 8 pounds.
Man, so this was actually an e-flip purchase. I bought a bunch of them, and the price somewhat tanked on this one.
Was it beat up when you bought it?
That's a return.
Okay.
I got that return back from the warehouse.
Yeah, so this is like someone dropped this book. Like the cover's torn. It's pretty bad.
I don't like buying and selling big textbooks because the heavier and the bigger, the more fees come out.
Oh, definitely.
And then the shipping cost to get it in.
So a book like this, if this is a normal book that's like a $10 book, I'm not even going to bother selling it just because it is beat up, the cover's torn. It's just not worth it. Again, kind of the Boy Scout rule. If you wouldn't be happy buying it, don't try and shove it off on somebody else. However, expensive books, I do make an exception. So what's this one selling for?
Selling for $29, so Amazon will pay out $15 minus what I paid. So
that's fine. So it's a $29 book. I might list this a few dollars less.
So what are you going to put in the condition? What are you going to put in the condition?
Definitely going to be the lowest condition, so acceptable. And I'll just say, look, the cover's beat up. It's not a pretty book, but it is perfectly readable. And for a student that's looking to save a few dollars, it's a great buy, right? It's not new. What's the new price?
Amazon's selling it for $139.
So the bookstore is going to be $100, $150 probably, $140. And a student can buy it from me for 25 bucks.
Yeah.
So you're actually doing the student a favor. Again, too often we think, oh, we're just selling widgets. We're just, who cares? We're not really providing value. You're just saving a student 125 bucks that they can spend on beer instead. You're making the world better. No, but seriously, like for textbooks especially. Yeah. Again, a regular book that's $10, I'm probably not going to sell it if it's beat up. Yeah. Textbooks all day. Students are looking to save $1 and we can help them with that. So acceptable, damaged cover, still readable. Next book.
Yeah, so I think really at the end of the day, one, give you guys a couple homework assignments. One, go to the Amazon terms of service. I'll put a link down below. I'll look for that and just study up on that, right? Two, really, take the time to evaluate how much time am I spending grading, and if I was to cut that back a little bit, or maybe if I was to invest in AccelerList, which is my favorite listing software. I'll put a link to that down below. I believe they have a free trial over there.
Free 2-week trial.
2-week trial. Check that out because you can put all your preconditioned notes in and then you can just fly through it. And just really ask yourself, does it really make that big of a difference? Go through your negative feedbacks, analyze your business and see. Because really in this business, selling books, it's all about listing and selling more, getting more books out.
It's really a volume game. And I think we said this in one of the other videos as well. Track yourself for an hour. How many books can you list? And if conditioning's slowing you down, and if cleaning the books or polybagging or whatever you may be doing, I sound like a Michigander, polybagging, bagging, however you say
Bag them.
Bag them. But track your books per hour. If you're in the low range, like so acceptable, damaged cover, still readable, next book.
Yeah, so I think really at the end of the day, one, give you guys a couple homework assignments. One, go to the Amazon terms of service. I'll put a link down below. I'll look for that. And just study up on that, right? Two, really, take the time to evaluate how much time am I spending grading, and if I was to cut that back a little bit, or maybe if I was to invest in AccelerList, which is my favorite listing software. I'll put a link to that down below. I believe they have a free trial over there.
Free 2-week trial.
2-week trial. Check that out because you can put all your preconditioned notes in and then you can just fly through it. And just really ask yourself, does it really make that big of a difference? Go through your negative feedbacks, analyze your business and see. Because really in this business, selling books, it's all about listing and selling more, getting more books out.
It's really a volume game. And I think we said this in one of the other videos as well. Track yourself for an hour. How many books can you list? And if conditioning's slowing you down, and if cleaning the books or polybagging or whatever you may be doing, I sound like a Michigander, polybagging, bagging, however you say
Bag them.
Bag them. But track your books per hour. If you're in the low range, like 15 to 20 books between prep, listing, condition notes, boxing, if you can only do 20 an hour, you got to find a way to be more efficient. So again, for me, it's just looking at the book. Is it, acceptable, good, very good? Read Amazon's terms, make sure you understand those. But in general, think like the customer. If it's beat up, it's acceptable. If it looks decent, it's good. If it looks pristine, it's very good. And that will keep it very simple for you.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on, brother. If you guys enjoyed this video, do us a big favor and smash that like button down below. Leave a comment. Let us know if you guys have any more tips or tricks that you use in your business when it comes to conditioning books, selling on Amazon. And subscribe if you're not already. And check out Caleb's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I would start with his blog is great as well, which is
thebookflipper.com.
Yeah, so the Book Flipper at all of those social platforms, you could find Caleb. He's a great guy, great content, and I've learned a lot of my book business from Caleb. So appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you guys all watching. And until then, keep on picking and making up money, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Keep on picking up. What do you say?
Keep on picking and making that money.
Picking.
But I'm very
up.
obnoxious, so I try to piss people off, and I get faster and faster to
picking and making that money.
Yeah.